This is the Excel solver scenario. In order to use this scenario, you're going to have to go to Citrix in order to get it to work, and I'll show you how you do that. When you log into MyCVTC, one of the choices that you have is this Citrix button right here. So you click on that Citrix button, and the Citrix line comes up. We want to click on Excel 2013. And when you do, click on Open, or the Open button, and you'll see Options is one of the choices. When you click on the options, this screen comes up and you want to click on Add-ins. And when you click on Add-ins, you see Excel Add-ins down here at the bottom. When you click Go, you will see Analysis Tool Pack as one of the choices. Click that and click OK. And when you do, Data Analysis Solver will appear up here in the upper right-hand corner. Then you can begin. So when you download your program, you're going to have to use Citrix in order to run Excel, unless you have the full version of Excel on your computer. So you'll have to save it to your Windows drive, and then you can download it. All right, first step, put your name in the blank. Then we're going to use Solver to solve algebra. Let's look at this situation. You can see it tells us how to download it. If Excel is not in your solver, then you have to download it, and I showed you how to do that. All right, so what you do, it says, is you enter the X and Y coefficients in the blue boxes. So we would put a 7, 8, that's from the first equation, and a -4 and 1 because it's 1y in the second equation. Then it says, and the constant values as constraints in the green boxes. So this will be -34 for the first equation and 25 for the second equation. Then it says, enter the formula for each equation in the right cell reference. Well, it tells us how to enter it. It says take the x and the x variable, so the x coefficient, x variable. So in this first box, we're going to take the x coefficient times the x variable, which is over here in J54, plus the y coefficient times the y variable. And if you notice here, if you get stuck, you can always go to the pink box and it'll tell you what to write in each spot. Then go to the next right cell reference and you type equals, and then it'll be the x coefficient times the x variable plus the y coefficient times the y variable, which is J55, and then you will have both of those right sides filled in. Then it's time to enter the formula, then it's time to go to the solver and pull that up. Notice that it says set objective. We don't have to worry about that. But what we do need to do is to put the variables, which are in the purple box, the two variables from the purple box will go there. In the subject to the constraints, we're going to add some constraints. The cell references are in the red, so the two cell references we're going to use are these two boxes, H54, H55, and we're going to set it equal to the constraints, which are in the two green boxes. Click OK, and now we're back to our reference box. I've got a bunch of extra equations here that I'm going to delete. Sorry about that. I'll delete those so that we are back to just the one that we want. Make sure this is unchecked here, and make sure this says simplex. And when you get done, it will solve them, and it will put the values here into the X box and the Y box. So when it does, all you have to do is fill them in down here in the kind of pinkish boxes. And you'll notice that you got them right because it'll be all goods, that's right, and that's right. Let's go to example 8, and you'll see kind of the same sort of thing. What I'd like you to notice first of all is how this equation was set up. Jane has 8 quarters and dimes, which total $1.25. So we've got two variables, D and Q. Dimes and quarters adds up to 8. A dime is worth 10 cents, a quarter is worth 25 cents. So we take 0.10 dimes plus 0.25 times the number of quarters will give us a total of $1.25. So when we wrote down our equation, we have the number equation and the value equation. So we have dimes. I'm just going to use the number 1 because it's 1 dime. 1 times the number of dimes, 1 times the number of quarters, and we have a total of 8 coins. Then we're going to do the constraints. We have the dimes are worth 0.1 and the quarters are worth 0.25, and we get 1.25 worth of money. For the cell references, because we've already done the cell references once, we can copy them from above and record them into our 2 spots. Now it's time to pull up the solver, and we can fill in. I'm going to delete this. Oops, I guess I can't delete that. Let's go to the variables, which are going to be in the purple boxes, and we're going to add a constraint, and it's our cell references are in red, set them equal to, our constraints are in green, and we're going to erase that first equation, and then when we solve it, it fills in the values, and so all we need to do is copy the purple value for D and write it first, and the purple value for Q and write it second, and if you notice, I got both of those sets of points. Let's look at the next one, and it's a scenario for a solution scenario. In the first column, you have the how much, and in this column, you'll have the total. Remember, you multiply going across and you add going down. So it says the weak plus the strong, so we will use W plus strong is 13 liters. Okay? There's 12%, 25%, and 15%. Remember, the total is always between the other two. So weak times 12 is 12 weak. Strong times 25 is 25 strong. So we have 12 weak plus 25 strong is 195, which you get from 13 times 15. Okay, so let's fill them in on our chart. It tells us how to fill them in. So we have 1, the weak plus the strong, put a 1 in each of those places, is 13. Then we've got the 12 weak plus 25 strong is 13 times 15, which is 195. Copy the cell references that you made before and fill them in. And it's time to use the solver because we're ready to fill in the purple boxes, and we're going to add cell references are in red, equal to the constraints, are in green. Click OK and make sure, I'm going to delete this old one so that I just have the new one there. And I'm going to press solve. And if you notice, I got all my points. You got to take the variable and put it into the pink and the other variable and put it into the pink, and then you'll get credit for number 9. Number 10 is a little bit different. If you notice, it shows how to do each of the things, but what we're going to do is multiply each of these by each of these, then do the second row times the variables, then do the third row times the variables. So first of all, we have to fill in our chart, and if you notice here, we have A plus C plus S is 350. Since A is 2C, we could write it as A minus 2C plus 0S equals 0. And the third equation is S equals 4C, or just 0A minus 4C plus S equals 0. So let's fill them in. 1 and 1 and 1 adds up to 350. So 1A plus 1C plus 1S is 350. In the second row, we get it from right here, 1, -2, 0, and 0. In the third row, 0, -4, and 1 is 0. Now, our cell references are the most difficult part to fill out. Equals. We're going to take the first coefficient, the A coefficient, times the A variable, plus the C coefficient times the C variable, plus the S coefficient times the S variable. Do the same thing in the second row. The A coefficient times the A variable, plus the C coefficient times the C variable, which is J109, plus the S coefficient times the S variable. Last row, we're going to take the A coefficient times the A variable, plus the C coefficient times the C variable, plus the S coefficient times the S variable, which is J110. And when we get done, remember, you can see what you're supposed to put in each row by following the pink boxes. But we're going to highlight the variable cells, press solver, and our variable cells are already listed. W10, we have to list them here. W108 to W110. No, not W, J108 to J110. Then we're going to add our cell references are in red, equal to our constraints are in green. Click OK. And I'm going to erase this old one because we're on 108s now. And when I press solve, it gives me the values, and I just record what's in the purple boxes into each of these 3 spots here. Another word problem, I've got the word problem over on the right-hand side. So we've got A for annuity, M for money market, and the principal amounts add up to $70,000. The interest amounts, well, the first interest is 6.3%. No, we have to use 0.063 and then 0.045. And our constraint, it adds up to $3,870. I'm going to copy the cell references from my 2 equation one. You can't copy it from a 3, but you can copy it from a 2 and put that in. And then I'm ready to solve my variables. I took the wrong thing. Data solver. fill in the two purple boxes, add a cell references are in red, the constraints are in green, and press solve. And if you notice, we got all the points there. Make sure you move from the purple box down to the two, or the A goes in the first one, the M goes in the second one. Last one, a can of, the cost of a can of chicken noodle soup, 8 cans and 6 cans, total $16.09. So bean with bacon, we had 6 of them, 8 chicken noodles, and they added up to 16.04. In the second case, we had 3 cans of beans and 10 cans of chicken noodle soup, and they added up to $14.92. I'm going to copy the cell references from here because once you get that down, it's a lot easier to just always use the same cell references. And we're ready for our solver. We're going to change our bean and chickens by, I'm going to add one here. The cell references are here. Should make them equal to the constraints are in green. And I'm going to delete those old ones just because I don't want to mix me up. Okay, and then when we press solve, you can see our purple, so we will record the bean price down here in this box, G170, and the chicken price down here in this box in I170. And then when you're done, you should have all 30 points, and you can do the assignment.